What a finish. What a man.
The drum roll finishes, and the target is
Means it. And it comes on finals night, and it's another
Dirty Harrison! Robin Van Velzen!
So, for the match and for Group B, double 16, Robert Thornton's going to be playing the night session. As Andreas Havison looks at tops.
Shot on the second leg, Steve West.
This leg going to be all about Ted. Double 12. Oh, magnificent. It's another big one.
It is Ross Montgomery rising just at the right time. Double 10. 3-0.
On the third leg.
Hello, welcome along to the first night session here at Double Trouble 3, where the newly crowned World Seniors Champion Ross Montgomery is the headline name in action. He heads a 5-player field, which should be very, very intriguing indeed. We've got prime time Matthew Edgar with me here in the studio to talk about all of the evening action. Look, Ross Montgomery's just won the World Seniors Championship. He won it impressively at the Circus Tavern a month or so ago. He's going to be the headline name, isn't he, in the field?
Yeah, you look at this and you think, well, he'd probably be coming into this with lots of confidence. He'd be coming here head high, shoulders out, chest out, shoulders back. And you look at him and I don't think it's sunk in for him yet. I think this is still very fresh. I think this is still quite raw. I think he's still quite emotional about it all at the moment. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he handles tonight. I'm really excited to see how he gets on.
Let's talk about this afternoon. Let's talk about Group C, where it's Neil Duff that's in cruise control. He won all 5 of his matches, and he just looked like a new man. He looked refreshed today, didn't he?
Oh, he was very good, wasn't he? We saw the equipment change. Well, the equipment reversal, didn't we? Go back to the sort of darts we've seen him use here in the past, and he was playing darts like we've seen him here in the past. He's in a very good position now to get through to Saturday night. We saw the struggles of Mark Dudbridge. That's his first game tomorrow. If he gets that out of the way, my cut-off was 12 points. He will already be on 12 points. So for me, if he comes out tomorrow, gets that win against what was an underperforming player today, I think he's going to be in a very good position. I think he's through with that win.
That's how the table looks then after the first night's play. Neil Duff on 10 points, Steve Beaton on 8. This is how the tournament bracket breaks down. Leonard Gates won Group A on Wednesday afternoon. Group C was what we watched this afternoon. And then tonight it is Group B with Steve West, Ross Montgomery, Ted Evetts, Andreas Harrison and Robert Thornton in action. Should be an intriguing night's worth of darts. We've already spoken about the World Seniors Champion, Ross Montgomery. Ted Evetts, a former World Youth Champion, going the other side of the coin. He lost the final here last time out at Double Trouble to Robert Thornton. Probably should have won that particular final. But where would you say his game is at this present moment in time?
I like Ted. I think Ted's in a position maybe that we haven't seen from him for a long time. I think recovering well in regards to after losing his card. I think he's a man on a mission right now. I think he's going to get his tour card back. And I think when he does, I think we see a better version of him as well than what we saw the sort of first time round for Ted Evetts. I think we'll see a more experienced version of Ted Evetts, but I think we'll see a more high-performing. It's kind of what we saw on the development tour from Ted Evetts, where he was so dominant for so many years. And we'll delve into the stats and things and the achievements of what he's done in recent times during the matches, because he is a player trending in the right direction, and he's a player that's going to love this format.
Now, we're not biased in the studio in the commentary box, but Ted Evetts has bought us a bit of a bribe this evening. He's made some homemade stuff for us this evening. Steve West, the other player to join the equation. I'm intrigued to see where he's at. And we're going to hear from him in a few seconds' time, because it feels like everything's a bit of a transition at the minute.
I think he'll be happy to be back here at the Super Series. We did see him go to Q School. That wasn't successful for him. We saw him playing the UK Open qualifier. That wasn't successful for him. But I think one of the things he finds out at the Super Series is comfort. We've talked before about what an arena, what a room, what a building can do for you. And when you've had success in a place, the second you come in, it's like being back home again. It's being back in that place where you've got all those positive vibes and memories. And I think he's going to come out here tonight. I think he's going to play really well. He's going to be one to keep an eye on.
Let's have a look at the odds then and see what the bookies think about tonight's action. Andreas Harrison goes off 6-4 favourite. When you look at the way he's played this week, is that a justified favourite?
No, not at all. Not by that much either. You know, Ted Evetts 100-30, Steve West 4-1. One of the most successful players we've had here. Ross Montgomery coming in here, flying in form, and Robert Thornton being written off again. And he's already shown the odds compilers that that's not a profitable strategy this week. I think it is silly prices.
Are you doing a Chris Mason and saying that they're rubbish?
And then he'll go and walk the group, won't he, Andreas Harrison? But no, I don't get it. I do not understand why he's so short. Could he be favourite? Yeah, of course he can. He's won a series here before. But is he that short? No, not at all.
18 plus, gambleaware.org if you're going to have a flutter tonight on the Super Series. Right, into game one of the session, and it sees Robert Thornton in action up against Steve West. One of the most complete performers here at the Live Lounge Reporter. 5 weekly titles in his career, but this is the first time he's playing at a specials week here at the Super Series. So what can he do when it's doubling in, doubling out? He has got a good record in this competition, the World Grand Prix double in, double out competition in the past. What we're going to see from him tonight, I caught up with him earlier on this evening. Steve, great to see you back here at the Super Series. First time in 2025. First time as well at a specials week. How much are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to everything. I mean, every time I come here, I get a good feeling about it. So I can't wait to get started.
Double start. Now, we know your record at the World Grand Prix, but it's been a little while, hasn't it, since you played the format?
It's about 9 years ago, but yeah, that's the last time I played double start. But look, as long as my memory holds steady, I think I'll probably be that one that we'll forget to throw in, a bit like Scott Mitchell, but hopefully not.
Is that actually part of the psyche? Like, actually, because you're so used to muscle memory, you're doing one thing, changing the discipline a little bit.
Yeah, look, if you don't play it regular, it's easy to let it slip your mind, you know, and after the first game, it'll probably be like a natural thing, but until you've played that first one, you've got to try and remember where you're starting. Like,
let's talk about the darts, and let's talk about the starts of the year. What would be your assessment? Obviously, you went to Q School for the first time in a while.
Yeah, I mean, after the hype of coming back and after my operation, winning the week here, which was a surprise to everyone, including myself. After that, it's just sort of fallen off a cliff a little bit, and I don't know what it is, why it is, but I'm working on it, and we're getting back there. Even Q School was a bit of a drama and not bad play, but just missing loads of doubles. And Challenge Tour just after that, a week later, was pretty much the same. So I'm now getting back to it. I mean, you know, we'll just have to see how it goes.
Is this year just a little bit about rebuilding your game back to the Steve West we know?
Yeah, I mean, the Steve West that I know, or that you've seen in the past, he's probably not there anymore. But I'm willing to fight to get back to that. So we're just going to have to play it by ear and see what goes on.
Wish you all the very best. Steve, good luck.
Cheers, pal.
Most experienced campaigners here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. Steve West, a 5-time weekly winner in this building, takes on Robert Thornton, who won this title last time out. It's the only success he's had in this building. And it's the first time we've seen Steve West here in 2025. Now 49 years of age, from Waltham Abbey. 5-time a weekly winner here at the Super Series. And he's hoping to be simply the best once again. Up against the 57-year-old Robert Thornton from Saltcoats in Scotland, the winner of this tournament last time out. And the Fawn is hoping to be exactly that in the side of the opposition this evening. It's West, it's Thornton to kick off the night's action. And Jack Garwood is in
First leg,
the
it's
referee's
Steve to throw
position
first.
this evening.
Game on.
And his first assignment is to bring Steve West to the board. Matthew Edgar alongside me in commentary this evening. And I suppose, like every other group this week, we're kind of none the wiser as to how things could go.
And I think Steve starting to feels the same as well, doesn't he? They're saying that the Steve West we know here at the Super Series isn't quite the Steve West that's turning up. And I suppose that's the danger sometimes of trying to find things out. We saw that great interview he gave, didn't we, when he was talking about where his game is, what his hopes are, what his aspirations are, and he says he wants to go to Q School, not because he wants to go to the tour card, but because he wants to see where he is, to see where the levels are, and ultimately, if he can do well on the Challenge Tour, it would give him prospects of getting Pro Tour call-ups without having to sacrifice the opportunities he's now got within the sport. That being said, when it doesn't go right,
100.
and you find yourself a bit short, maybe a little bit of doubt can set in, and that can set in really quickly and easy when you've had setbacks like Steve has. He's had major
13.
surgery in the last couple of years. He's had a bit of a change round in lifestyle and personal life, and you know, when you look at that
108.
and then you're trying to
He
be a world-class dart player, there's going to be setbacks which obviously give you doubt anyway.
Well, Steve's been very honest, hasn't he,
28.
about his
Robert,
appraisal
you
of things,
require
and
16.
he's not quite sure how things are going to be heading into this particular
Yeah,
event. But
Sean,
what
the
we do
first
know is
leg,
Robert
Robert
Thornton's off to a flying start. 14 darter in leg one of the contest to lead 1-0.
Second leg, it's Robert.
But that was
to
the
throw
narrative
first.
we span as well around
on.
Robert Thornton. It was the exact same thing Robert Thornton said before a dart was thrown. And
120.
well, he has certainly answered it, hasn't he?
$61. $121.
Well, it's been a night of great darts already. We saw Group C this afternoon, and in the Premier League darts, there's been two 9-darters.
125.
Luke Humphreys and Rob Cross nailing perfection in Brighton.
140. $95.
Thornton
Robert, you
looking at
require
120 to
120.
take out the second leg. Found the treble. Tops.
80.
Just bends the wire with the last dart in hand there.
55. Robert, you require 40.
So Thornton looking at tops. And what is also in play here is the record
Charlotte,
average for double
second
trouble,
leg,
because he's
Robert
averaging 107.36, back-to-back 14 darters. He's 2-0 to the good.
Third leg, it's Steve to throw first. Game on.
Westhoff dart 2.
95.
And Thornton again for the third leg in succession away first dart. This is a golden start
120.
for the form. And I tell you what, Matt, the record for double trouble really is under severe threat. In fact, the all-time record for double in double outs under severe threat.
92.
We've said that a few times, haven't we, this afternoon? Two averages over 100. We had two in the Group A campaign, and one of them was Robert Thornton.
140.
He did it on Tuesday against Leonard Gates, the man who won the group, and he's already sat waiting to come back on Saturday night.
81.
Well, there's nothing really that Steve West could do about this. Thornton at his sparkling, brilliant best.
100.
And he's left himself on a finish after 9 darts to get the job done. West is providing some opposition in this leg.
133. Robert, you require 141.
Well, he's not going to seal it in sparkling style. But if he gets this
81.
done in 14 darts, we'll have the all-time record for a double-in, double-out match. But Steve West may hold the phone.
Yeah,
He
he's on
will
the
hold the
third leg.
phone
Steve
because that's a 14-darter of his own. And back we go to 2-1. And for all the records we were describing
flag,
Robert
it's for Robert
Thornton
to throw
breaking,
first.
he has to
Game
go
on.
back to the start, averaging 108.23 after just 3 legs on the board.
100.
This is a special performance from the former World Grand Prix champion. But this is the jeopardy of best of 5 darts, how quickly things can swing.
80.
And we could go from record breaking
60.
to a game of an equal measure before too long.
Oh, we still are on for record
40.
breaking. This isn't because Robert Thornton's levels have dropped by much. This is because Steve West starting to serve it up to the Thorn, but
135.
Robert just says, all right, if you want some, I'll give it you.
Not quite the Wildstone Raider, but he's hoping to take a couple of points and
41.
doom the hopes of Steve West early on.
Well, we do have no fans in here as well, don't we? But we will have them on Saturday night. It's going to be loads of fans in here, packed house.
174.
He's left 32 after just 12 darts, average 110.31. We could be on the cusp of a bit of history here.
100. Robert, you
Robert
require
Thornton looking
32.
at double 16.
Game shot.
14
and the match,
darter, and
Robert
it is a
Thornton.
record. Robert Thornton with the highest ever double in, double out average. 108 to dismantle Steve West. That's a brand new world record. That's a record for double trouble. Robert Thornton with an average of 108 beats Steve West by 3 legs to 1. And so the night is up and running with a bit of prestige. Coming up after the break, the newly crowned World Seniors Champion, Ross Montgomery's in action against Andreas Harrison. Are you ready to lift that trophy, Darius? Yes. Let's do it then. Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series 9 champion is Lucky D, Darius Lewandowski!
Well, what a wonderful night of darts we have seen, and we are ready. Our champion is ready, and it's trophy time. So receive the trophy. £25,000. The new Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And one more time, the 8th Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And the new Modus Super Series champion is Andreas Dirty Harrison. And one more time, the 7th Modus Super Series champion. Give it up for Andreas Dirty Harrison.
The moment we've all been waiting for. Would you please show your appreciation for your Series 6 Modus Super Series champion, Scott Taylor?
One more time, your new Modus Super Series champion. He is Chucky. He is Jim McEwen.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series champion, retaining his title, the Luke Littler! Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where the evening's action here in Group B has kicked off in record-breaking style Robert Thornton with the highest ever double in, double out recorded average, 108 on the nose, to beat Steve West by 3 legs to 1. In fact, Steve West had 1 dart to the double on the back of a ton checkout. Took that out, but it wasn't good enough to defy Robert Thornton, who is playing at the peak of his powers. Next up for us, Ross Montgomery, the 62-year-old from Glasgow, 5-time weekly finalist here. Ross was the boss of the Circus Tavern as he picked up the seniors title, beating Graham Usher by 5 sets to 1 in the final. Up against the 49-year-old from Malala in Sweden, Andreas Harrison, the Series 7 champion, beat Cam Crabtree 4-3 to win that particular title with that stunning 121 checkout. He is one of the all-time greats in this building. And if he was to cross the finishing line on Saturday, he would do something that nobody else has done before here. And that is to complete the set. Weekly winner, Champions Week winner, Specials Week winner. Nobody else has done it before. But the first task before him, the newly crowned World Seniors Champion, Ross Montgomery, who has kicked off straight away.
61.
He's probably still playing his darts right now, isn't he, Ross Montgomery, in that sort of trance state. When you win anything, it just changes the perception of how you view the world. And imagine if that thing that you've won is actually the World Championship for the Seniors Tour. Could be something he, a couple of years ago, maybe thought had passed him by. He had all those attempts, didn't he, at Lakeside? Didn't quite work out for him there. Quarterfinals at best.
140.
Probably maybe thought the days of ever being able to call himself such had passed him by. But he went into that event, and let's be fair, that event, eyes was everywhere, wasn't they? Eyes was on Richie Howson, who's come so close before. Eyes was on the likes of Simon Whitlock, Steve Beaton, Mervyn King. Players who had just come off the tour, players with big glittering CVs, and they all got brushed aside.
Beat some big CVs and some big names en route to that title, and the doors it's opened up as well. Obviously, the World Seniors is taking a bit of a different direction in 2025, so less places are being given out to a tour, and it's going to be more direct invitation through to their major events, and as World Champion gets first pick, first dibs on both the match play and the Masters later on in the season in the summer.
140.
Who knows? Andreas Harrison now, because of the new rule, is eligible to play in the World Seniors. So who knows? We may be seeing him in one of our events before the end of the year.
60. Andreas, you require 85.
85 for Andreas to get the break in the opening leg. 1 dart at the ball.
60.
Clips the 25
Ross
wide.
require 98.
And so Montgomery will come back for 98. Was looking at treble 18 there to give himself a dart to double 12. And so Harrison
62.
to get that break of throw, looking at 25. 2 8s. And now double 4. To give Harrison that 1-0 lead.
Andreas Harrison.
And to give him the break.
Second leg, it's Andreas to throw first. Game on.
Andreas off first start. And do you remember my little remark
75.
I made earlier on this week regarding Andreas?
No.
Well, I said if any player was likely to hit a 9 darter this week, it would be Andreas. However, look at the way Ross Montgomery's starting. He started perfectly. Haven't seen too many 160 starts over the course of Double Trouble 3.
Well, it is a night that's been peppered with 9 darters, isn't it?
Well, Rob Cross has had 1 hit against him and has hit 1 himself in the Premier League. Is Ross Montgomery going to give us a bit of Double Trouble history, I wonder? I wonder. Oh, I wonder.
Well, it could be a very historic night, isn't it? We've already had the 108 average going for Robert Thornton. Now Ross Montgomery looking to do a bit of a Scottish double of history here in the opening games of Group B action. 161 points away from adding his name to a very short list of people that have hit a 9-darter with a double start to finish.
Triple 17. Just goes a begging with Darte. It's the closest we've ever been
97.
to an 9-darter in the double start format here. He was unable to join the list of Dolan, Thornton and Wade to have hit 9-darters on the TV in this format. And if that went, then we could have already cemented one of the all-time great nights in this building before we've even got through leg 2 of game 2. But importantly for Ross the boss, to square up, but he does have time on his side. Tops of the breaker throw.
44. $131. Rossi required
So 2
20.
10s for Ross the boss to square up.
Game shot on the second leg.
13
Ross
dart
Montgomery.
break back. I tell you what, we've had some real quality this evening. Only
Third
one leg
it's
so
Ross
far
to throw first.
during this
Game
session. And I get it's early days that have breached the 5-visit mark. 14 darters in the first game. That was a 13 darter from Ross.
No score.
And that's where you get really frustrated in this format. You have a great leg like that, a 13 dart to get the throw back, and then you just give it straight back. Andreas Harrison says, thank you very much.
75.
No, you're against the darts once again. It's all just uphill right now, isn't it, for Ross Montgomery?
On the subject of record
No score.
averages, I do want to let you into a little bit of a secret. I was having a little bit of a chat with Robert and Andreas before the session began tonight, and they were actually discussing the last time they were here at Double Trouble where a lot of records got smashed, a lot of records got broken. They were actually talking about what highest records could be. So they were talking in a mood of great darting, and they're providing some great darting here.
No score.
I know Robert Thornton didn't quite have the thermostat at the temperature he would have liked, but he's ran red hot. Ross Montgomery threatened the 9, but he could find himself in a bit of trouble here
60.
because 9 darts thrown in this leg he hasn't got started, and Andreas Harrison has taken full advantage of that particular failure from the Scot to open up.
No score.
Where he's persevered on tops, but that stubbornness hasn't quite bared any fruit. And we saw Keegan Brown almost get brushed, didn't we, earlier on today?
99.
15 darts. He needed to get going. And Ross Montgomery, if he's not careful, could suffer a similar indignity. Because we know Andreas Harrison will go for the bullseye if he gets the first 2 trebles here. It's never happened at Double Trouble. And it ain't going to happen here just yet, anyway.
60.
Just shaves a bit off there, Andreas Harrison. Time running out here, though, you feel, for Montgomery. Persistent. Stubborn in his
40.
approach, and he gets
Aggression
rewarded
required,
with the last start in
107.
hand.
Game
Oh,
shot
and
on
it was
the
good
third leg.
timing as
Andreas
well.
Harrison.
Andreas Harrison takes it out. A mop of the brow there from Ross Montgomery.
Fourth
He's
leg,
obviously
it's
aware
Andreas
of
to
the
throw
brush
first.
potential and
Game on.
maybe even aware that no one's ever had it done to them here.
But nobody wants that indignity, do they?
80.
Ironically, prior to that leg where he just had that absolute nightmare, he got a first start in the first 2. And usually what happens is, once you have a leg like that, you usually go quite quickly in the next.
40.
And he does so.
And that'll be relief, that, because he wouldn't have even felt in that last leg at any point. So he's got a chance here to try and cling to the coattails of Andreas Harrison, who's
60.
come up dry. This is the opportunity. It's been a while since he's been thrown at the treble 20. Is it 21
43.
darts since he's thrown at that target? That's quite a time. That's in normal darts. That's one what we'd normally assume to be quite a bad leg.
Well, 2 really good legs, potentially.
81.
But I think he's found his radar around the treble 20 again.
108.
That's his second max of the match. Serving it up to Andreas Harrison.
$85.
Big last start this for Ross. Doesn't find the
45.
treble. Andreas Harrison, 6 starts here from 195 to wrap up a 3-1 win.
$133.
And a great setup to boot. He is himself on 62 to get the job done. Well, Ross Montgomery had his moment, didn't he? When he threatened the 9 darter, he got 7 into it. But it's Andreas Harrison, who perhaps could be set to take the spoils.
Address you require 62.
He should get a match start from this point. But he's missed a big number. He's given Ross Montgomery a free chance.
30. Ross you require
Sloppy.
56.
Idle dart there, just expectant on the 20s. This wouldn't just be a level game. This would be a breaker throw, and this would put Ross Montgomery back as favourite to win this game.
16.
2 missed opportunities.
Address you require
You can see from the
32.
reaction there, he thinks he's going to get no more.
8-8. 2 4s, last start in hand. And usually he's been
24.
quite good on that target when he's
Ross
been
you
chasing.
require 40.
And so he's allowed Montgomery the opportunity here to take us all the way. And you feel like it's a group where we might see a lot of games go the distance, go all the way. And this is going to be the first of them.
Flag, Ross Montgomery.
Montgomery 2, Harrison 2, and we head the distance.
5th and final leg. It's Ross to throw first.
And
Game
crucially,
on.
Montgomery will have the darts. He'll persevere with tops, which has been a love-hate relationship in this game.
And now the eyes draw straight away
80.
to Andreas Harrison. Ross Montgomery's in, and he's in with a decent score. Panic sets in.
36.
Fine to the last start. Now, Andreas Harrison, every single leg in this match has got off with the first visit. But what's Montgomery doing here in the scoring phase?
140.
How pivotal at 140 could that be? Because it's forced the issue here of Andreas. Who responds in kind.
That's all you can do in these last leg shootouts. Just stick with your opponent. Hope for a mistake. Hope for a slip.
100.
That's a great last start, that, from Ross Montgomery, just to keep Andreas Harrison at arm's reach. If that slip's not going to come, you need to find a maximum. That's not coming either for Andreas Harrison.
83.
Montgomery got a lead on the scoreboard early on. He's just keeping Andreas Harrison at arm's reach. It's in Montgomery's hands from here, certainly now. Andreas Harrison's had his chance. 3
122.
clean darts at a double. Wasn't able to convert it. And now it's a flip and a reverse of roles. Andreas Harrison's going to have to stand and hope that Ross Montgomery can't convert match darts.
100.
But he is going to be there, ready to strike should the
Ross require
opportunity
59.
arise.
Staring down the barrel, he finds a max. Is that going to force pressure, scoreboard pressure upon Ross Montgomery, who looks at tops of the match
Game
and
shot
pins it
the
first
match.
start in hand.
Ross
A 14 darter in a last leg decider. The World Seniors Champion is up and running. Ross Montgomery with a 3-2 success against Andreas Harrison to kick off his night. You haven't really taken that smile off him really ever since picking up the title in Purfleet. And he'll be beaming from ear to ear with that first result. The average kind of wrecked by that one leg where he nearly got brushed. Coming up next, Ted Evetts takes on Steve West.
$54. Charlie McGuire, 164. $44. $32. Charlie McGuire, 120.
Well, 120. He's got a fair, at least 2 handfuls of this. Just needs to stay
60.
there. That's a good shot. Halves his score. Leaves himself on a 2-darter.
$26. Charlie
Time on his
McGuire,
side
60.
to become back-to-back singles champion.
$40.
Definitely a couple of nerves in those last 2 darts. But he'll be coming back.
It's a moment he's been in before this situation. Standing at the back of the
81.
stage,
Charlie
approaching the
McGuire,
Oki with a
20.
chance to win the title.
He did this to win the first title, if you remember.
11.
I think he's gone.
Georgia
I think
McGuire,
he's gone to
180.
bust it, maybe. The first title he won, he wanted 20. He went 6-7-7 to win it. He had a chance to replicate it again.
Yeah, I get the feeling that was for a bust, and
39.
on that
Charlie
situation there, George
McGuire,
Gay wasn't even
9.
able to take it out going to the 18s on that switch.
Yeah, I think he just panicked a bit, but he's done well to get that big one.
Sometimes can be the hardest part.
Georgia McGuire,
This is it.
79.
It's got to be 19s. It's got to be 19s for this shot. Big 20 and a double. He's got the first one. He's going to get a match dart here.
$59. Charlie
Threw the entire
McGuire,
body into that
8.
one. Just didn't want to let go of the dart.
No score.
He's giving George a chance.
Georgia McGuire, 20.
I think George has been quite good on double 10 today.
So many opportunities for Charlie Murphy.
Gay
Couldn't get the job
gets it.
done.
got out the match, and the Red Dragon
George
Modus
Skate.
Super Series Influencers Champion, George Skate.
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series. Before the break, Ross Montgomery got a bit of Andreas Harrison by 3 legs to 2, coming back from 2-1 behind to win that particular contest. Next up for us, Steve West and Ted Evetts go toe-to-toe. We haven't seen Ted Evetts yet, but it feels like we've seen so much. Thornton breaking the record average. Ross Montgomery teasing us to the line. But amazing to think Ted Evetts now, 27 years of age, from Stockton. The runner-up last time here. Can Super Ted be the Superman of the Super Series up against Steve West, the 49-year-old from Waltham Abbey, a 5-time weekly winner, looking to win his first double start title here at the Live Lounge Reporter, his first Specials Week appearance, and I'm sure it is not going to be the last he gets.
It's Ted to throw first.
It's going to be Ted to get us
Game
underway, and before we begin, Matt, before we start talking about the darts, Ted Evetts, as we know, is a very, very
16.
qualified chef. Now, he's made us a very, very nice dessert, which he's brought up to us here in the commentary box tonight.
Now, I don't know if you understand how TV works,
No score.
Henry, but you do realise it had no effect by going to the other side of the commentary box to get said chocolates, to wave them around in front of yourself, because no one can see that.
97.
And luckily, no one can then see me scoff them as the evening goes on.
One thing they can see, though, I think, is Ted Evetts putting himself into a
120.
qualifying position, is what I expect. Because he's actually been really turning his form around sort of the last 12 months. Been looking really good. I think the double start finish,
85.
double start, double finish is going to suit him very much so. We saw on the graphic at the start there, he's from Stockton, Warwickshire, near Southam.
140.
A place that traditionally plays a lot of double start, double finish. I know because it's about 10 miles from my house. I used to play in the league myself. Double start, double finish, 401. Best of 3. He's used to this. He loves this
99.
format. And he's been playing well. The back end of last year, he got a Pro Tour call that made the most of it, didn't he? Players' Championship number 24. Beat Michael Smith, Kim Hybrex,
108.
Johnny Clayton and Ross Smith before losing to Stephen Bunting. That was off the back of the double trouble here when he played in number 2, and that was when I sort of saw him returning to form. A lot of people's picked to pick up a card.
Requires 61.
Yeah, it didn't quite work out for him, but perspective, I think, has been a crucial thing for Ted. He's in a happy place of the sport.
41.
And I think sometimes it
Trent, you
actually
require
takes the step back
104.
of dropping off tour to then realise, actually, where are you with the game? How do you see the game? That doesn't find the treble as close as it was. And so Steve West will come back looking at double 10 to get the break of throw from the get-go.
Steve
Now,
required 20.
the first game ain't really relevant in terms of how his form was. He got beaten by Robert Thornton, average 108 in that match. But what is relevant is the fact that he's gone inside on the double 5 and he's presented Ted Evetts an opportunity to win a leg on throw, which he has been on the back foot since the scoring exchanges began.
Game shot on the
And
first
it goes.
leg.
Evetts leads by a leg to 0. Now, there is something a little bit different about Ted's setup.
Second
And that
leg
is
is Steve to throw first.
The all-in-one stem and flight combo. Now, the last time he was here, he was playing with what you tend to see from Ted Evetts. What has been so tried, so
160.
tested for so many years, but decided to maybe just tinker with something in this tournament.
A lot of people do move to that sort of all-in-one moulded
160.
system. It's one of the debates, the folded or the moulded.
$60.
It is kind of a important point of the season, really, for Ted Evetts. So we'll be hoping just to find that extra couple of percent. But that's the issue. There. That heavy deflection. Look at the depth. It's
83.
barely in the board. When you clatter that flight into the other flight, that heavy deflection, that's the issue. And it happens to people that are able to throw with consistency.
78.
When you throw with the same angle of entry, they can't go into the board without hitting the flight. So if anything, it's his level of again there, you see it clatter in. The level of control he's got of the
44.
tungsten makes them flights an issue. Essentially, it's too good for them.
133.
Well, Steve West, who missed 4 opportunities to win the opening leg of this contest, now comes back for 70 to take out leg 2.
Requires 70.
20 for tops. Double top it is. And a level
Game
game
shot
we
on the
have.
second
1-1.
leg, Steve West.
Decent contest, this.
Third leg, it's Ted to throw first. Game on. $117. 40.
So also playing with a longer point as well is Ted Evetts. Just
99.
obviously seeing that something maybe just be worth a change at this present moment in time. And it's interesting hearing from Neil Duff earlier on this week where he sees the free hit of a special week because it's a bonus appearance as perhaps the perfect opportunity maybe to trial something in match play conditions.
There it is again. I'm not sold on this.
123.
I don't think it works for Ted. You're going to get a lot of those deflections, a lot of those.
85.
And you can tell the difference between where it's the flight on flight compared to just the barrel hitting the barrel.
$130.
Tell you what, that was precarious for a second, wasn't it? But it just about straggles into the single 10 to leave himself on 32 after 12.
Solid leg this on Ted, and that's what
require
we've
32.
come to expect. I don't think Steve West was trying to leave the 170 there. But you're probably benefiting here from the open target here, Ted Evetts getting to move up.
16.
Puts it on the wire, but this would be, for
require
me,
170.
one of my favourite checkouts ever at the Super Series, should this go. The 26 to leave the 170.
60. Ted, you require 16.
Doesn't really scare it too much.
So 2 8s for Ted.
No score.
Oh, wow,
Steve,
he
you
says.
require 110.
And wow, this would hurt if West could find the 110. A perplexed look on the face of Ted Evetts. Steve West persevering because he liked the line dart 1.
50. Ted, you require 16.
So 2 8s for Ted for 2-1 lead. Double 4. He's got a lovely guide, an inviting marker, but he's
12.
unable to utilise it. It's
Steve
an egg that should be in
requires
his pocket.
60.
He's missed 10 darts to finish off a leg, Ted Evetts, in this match. And Steve West has the opportunity
Gets
to
on the
capitalise
third leg.
again.
Steve West.
He puts his arm out. He knows he should never have won that leg, but it's in his ledger nonetheless. And he leads 2-1, and
Fourth
with the
leg.
darts
It's
in his
Steve
hand
to
now
throw first.
to complete a
Game
3-1
on.
victory.
11 darts at a double Ted Evetts has had. They only managed to find the 1. That is for checking
40.
out. It's just not going to cut it on one of these special weeks when you're up against a level of play. Which does
No
make
score.
you think, how much here has the advantage been that Steve West has already played a game tonight? It's the old John
100.
Park philosophy, isn't it? The benefit is to the person who's been up there. Now, there may not be too much of a benefit because Steve West walked into the highest average we've ever seen here on a double start, double finish format. The 108 average from Robert Thornton.
Although, by the same token as well, when you
60.
do run into an average like that, you just shake the opponent's hand and go, but you still feel as if you've been on the stage and you've been warm enough.
Oh yeah, what more can you do? You've just got to appreciate good darts sometimes and be grateful in hindsight that you got a front row ticket to it.
120.
How many times did you have a front row ticket to excellence, Matt?
Oh, many times.
100.
Many times I managed to say, well done, mate. Good darts.
Every first round, every day.
100.
They did hit a 170 once, didn't you? That was quite a good one, wasn't it?
I don't like to go on about that one, you know.
60.
Well, digging deep here, Ted Evetts.
$46.
Wrong bed,
Steve, you
wrong
require
treble, wrong find.
141.
That means Steve West 6 darts here to get the job done. He doesn't normally let these sort of chances pass him by, but by his own words, this isn't the
22.
normal Steve West, and that's not what he would normally do. No one likes the 119 finish, one of the most cursed finishers in darts. There's no benefit by hitting the treble. You still need a perfect second dart if you're going to stay away from
90.
the ball.
Steve, you require 119.
But it is a match-winning chance here for Steve West. 220 tops. Tops of the match. Tops of the win.
And the match, Steve West.
And Steve West did a fantastic job of turning the screw there. Ted Evetts missed numerous opportunities to go 2-1 in front in that contest. Steve West took his chance and then finished the job off well. He beats Ted Evetts by 3 legs to 1. And so After game 3 of the night, Thornton, Montgomery and West are all winners. Harrison and Evetts are yet to get off the mark, and they'll go toe-to-toe in game 5 of the evening. But one of Thornton and Montgomery will move on to 4 points in game 4. It's the meeting of the Scots, the meeting of the former World Senior champs. Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where already this evening Robert Thornton has broken the record for a double start average, 108 in beating Steve West by 3 legs to 1. The previous record was 106.24 set by Alan Warren a little, but now Robert Thornton has broken that particular record, 108 on the nose. And then Ross Montgomery nearly went one better than an average of 108. He kicked off perfectly in the second leg of his match against Andreas Harrison in Game 2. And on a night where we've already seen 2 9-darters in the Premier League, we were then thinking at this point, are we going to get perfection in the double start format? 6 go in, and suddenly the eyes are very much fixated on perfection. Only Brendan Dolan, James Wade and Robert Thornton have ever hit a 9-darter in the double start format. But Ross Montgomery was unable to add his name to that particular list. And the consolation prize of him was the fact he was able to beat Andreas Harrison by 3 legs to 2. The other results, 3-1 wins for Robert Thornton and Steve West, respectively. And one of Thornton and Montgomery will move on to 4 points come the end of this particular fixture. Well, there's been 4 World Seniors Championships in history. and 3 of the titles belong to these 2 players. Robert Thornton winning the first 2 editions of that particular tournament, whilst Ross Montgomery sealed what, in his own words, he said is his career highlight by winning of the Circus Tavern in Purfleet 3 weeks ago when he beat Graham Usher by 5-1 to lift the title. And the opportunity that's going to come with that over the course of the next 12 months or so. But all eyes, full focus now is on the here and now. And this meeting right in the midst of this Group B campaign.
56.
I think this will be a game both players will really enjoy and really relish. 2 players that have both picked up that Seniors World Championship. Which has never left Scotland, has it really? Robert Thornton, John Henderson, Ross Montgomery.
There just seems to be a Scottish thing about the World Seniors.
36.
It is an interesting trend, isn't it? And I suppose there was a lot of people that realistically thought and expected Steve Beaton just to
85.
turn up and take that particular title. But it was Ross Montgomery in the semi-finals that denied him that particular Circus Tavern fairy tale.
99.
And he did have to get through, some players did. Ross the Boss en route to winning that particular tournament.
$81.
Kicking off in the opening round, he got the better of Trina Gulliver.
100.
3 sets to 0 for them, beating John Parton, a 5-set epic. Robert Thornton was the man that he got the better of in the quarterfinals before that win against Steve Beaton, and of course famously beating Graham Usher by 5-1 in the final.
139.
Thornton here with the first poke to take the first leg, and he's looking at 130. I'm going to get a poke of the ball. Montgomery 136.
58. Russia require 136.
Still not seeing a finish bigger than 135 this week. And it's not going to be raised one here, and so Thornton
80.
looking at 72
to 72.
Take out leg 1 of the match. He's looking at double 12.
6.
Double 6 has tended to have been kind to Robert this week on the
56.
breakdowns, but unable to get there, and so Montgomery, who has persevered all night long on tops, doesn't find success there, and so looks at double 10.
36. Robert, you require
The player's
12.
missing a couple of darts at double to win leg 1.
No score.
Well, it's gone from the sublime to the ridiculous for Robert
Russia
Thornton. That
required
108
20.
average against Steve West, where he'd won all of his legs in 14 darts.
Game shot on the first
Well,
leg.
Ross Montgomery's been able to
Montgomery.
break his throw in that leg in 19.
Second leg, it's Ross to throw first. Game on.
Sharply kicks off leg 2, does Ross the Boss.
120.
The danger for Robert Thornton is that last game was so perfect that everything's going to feel like a downgrade. And you see this quite a lot. You'll quite often see on the Pro Tour someone have a big monster average in the opening game and then the next game just completely drop off. And that's because you sort of become a little bit expectant. You become... You believe it's going to continue or it should continue.
60.
The thing is, you just got to take it for it is. Wow, what a great performance. And then sort of try and reset, expect the levels to
108.
sort of revert to par. Starting to pick it up though now, Robert Thornton. Laying it down on the Ross Montgomery darts.
140.
Big last dart there. Just forces that issue of Ross Montgomery.
81. Robert, you require 121.
And so Thornton here looking at 121 to level the score up at 1 apiece. The ball.
89.
Well, I
Ross,
suppose if
you
you're going to
require
miss,
100.
it's not the worst miss in the world if Montgomery doesn't take out the ton. Goes top stops, he's found the first.
80.
But he was unable to
Robert, you
add a
require
second to the
32.
collection. And so Thornton, double 16. And he's completely blocked the bed, as you can see there.
No score.
Went high, couldn't find.
Ross, you
Roberts.
require 20. Game shot on the second leg. Ross
Well, he's just
Montgomery.
picking apart the legs, isn't he, Ross Montgomery? It hasn't been anywhere near his best, but it's just been good enough to open up a 2-0
Third
lead.
leg,
Robert
it's
Thornton
Roberts
missing
at the
9
reverse.
darts and a double
Game
to
on.
finish things off.
80.
It'd just be so Robert Thornton, wouldn't it, if he was to average 108, break the record here at the Super Series, and then lose the next
No
game.
score.
We know he's going to dig deep here, though. There's a lot of fight in this guy. He's a player who has been talking to us this week, hasn't he, about maybe
100.
there's a little bit more in the tank for Robert Thornton. Feels there may be another wave of Robert Thornton. Let's tease the prospect of maybe having
No
one
score.
more go at dining on the top table.
$43.
He's the first to admit that he's not the Robert Thornton that picked up UK Opens and World Grand Prix. And maybe those days of him at his peak performances may well be in the past. But he certainly feels like he can still offer something
100.
to the sport. And maybe it can be a case of
100.
you sometimes just get a little bit lost within yourself and you kind of lose sight of things, particularly when you've achieved what Robert's achieved and things then just begin to dwindle a little bit.
100.
Sometimes you just find that inner spark, and that's exactly what it feels like internally is happening to Robert.
100.
Certainly played better than his previous appearance in the Legends League. Of that, there's no doubt. But he still knows that there's still levels to go to get back to the Thornton that we kind of saw here around 18 months ago.
135.
And that's probably a more realistic
Robert
track line to
requires
see where
78.
his success will be compared to the peak of his powers. Double top.
38. $42. Robert, you require 40.
Two tens. Doesn't
30.
go. And so this, a match-winning opportunity here for Ross Montgomery.
Ross, you require 124.
Double 11 to do it in style. A stylish
Game shot
finish
and
from
the
Ross
match.
Montgomery
Ross Montgomery.
to get the beating of Robert Thornton by 3 legs to 0. And for Robert Thornton, you could see the frustration there. He had played so well in his first match, but everything that went right in the beginning has gone wrong there. But for Ross Montgomery, well, that's some way to seal it. 13 missed darts on a leg for Robert Thornton. And that is the second consecutive game, which has been one with a ton plus checkout. Coming up next, Andreas House against Ted Evetts. We're halfway through the night already. Are you ready to lift that trophy, Darius? Yes. Let's do it then. Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series 9 champion is Lucky D, Darius Labanez!
of darts we have seen, and we are ready. Our champion is ready, and it's trophy. So receive the trophy. £25,000. The new Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And one more time, the 8th Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And the new Modus Super Series champion is Andreas Dirty Harrison. And one more time, the 7th Modus Super Series champion. Give it up for Andreas Dirty Harrison.
The moment we've all been waiting for. Would you please show your appreciation for your Series 6 Modus Super Series champion, Scott Taylor?
One more time, your new Modus Super Series champion. He is Chucky. He is Jim McEwen.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series champion, retaining his title, the Nuke, Luke Littler! Hello, welcome back to the Modus Live Lounge here in Portsmouth. It is Group B. It is Game 5 of our night session, and it is a meeting between Andreas Dirty Harrison and Super Ted Evetts. But who is going to sparkle and who is going to shine underneath the lights of the Live Lounge here in Portsmouth? Now, if you have just joined us, well, you have missed a lot this evening. Robert Thornton broke the double in, double out record, 108 the average in his match against Steve West. Ross Montgomery fettered a 9 darter and a victory against Andreas Harrison. It has been quite the night so far here in Portsmouth. Andreas Harrison gets us underway for what is our 5th game of the evening, and he gets us underway in near perfect style.
Wasn't the perfect start, though, for Andreas Harrison, was it? He lost his opening game by 3 legs to 2 to Ross Montgomery. And it's not kind of the game you want here. Ted Evetts also on the losing end of his opening game, lost to Steve West, but I think Ted's going to get stronger as the night goes, and one of these is going to start the night. We're back-to-back defeats.
123.
That just shows sort of the quality that we've got here this week, because you wouldn't suggest that on any normal Group B.
I think the normal rules and parameters have been kind of shoved out the window, haven't they, this week, just because of the calibre of the field that we've assembled for Double Trouble 3.
134.
And Harrison here has left himself 124 points after just 9 darts. Evetts has got off to an okay start.
6.
But Harrison off to an exceptional one. And he's got 6 darts from this point to take out the opening leg. Doesn't have to go triple 18 bull, but he loves the bullseye.
92.
But he doesn't love it enough to go for it there. He did go for the bullseye when he didn't need to earlier on this week. But has decided
32.
that sense and sensibility is the way he's going to go about things. Or why don't you just go double 7, double 9 on the back of the 32? It's a 14 darter all the same.
Second leg, it's Ted to throw first. Game on.
You look at the unassumingness of Andreas Harrison. You would not have him as a guy that would do completely and utterly maverick things. Quietly understated, but I tell you what, he's got a bit of a devilish side to him when it comes to a bit of showboating. Tried the whole 180, 171, 3 bullseyes ting in terms of the 9-darter.
He's a guy who's on a very short list, isn't he? People that have picked up a Super Series crown, picked up the big prize
140.
that we'll be giving out in around about 7 weeks' time.
He'll be looking to become just a second player to lift the title twice. You won't be surprised to hear the name of the other player that may have done it. Is that lad you see on the telly a little bit? He's called Luke.
55.
He's alright at the game, you know. He's decent. And this guy is up there with some of the very, very best we've seen in this building. It's already been a night dominated by big performances. And Harrison here, his average ticking just above the 103 mark. Really putting the task to Ted Evetts, who could find himself stranded at the bottom of the table if he loses this game. And you never know, this could be an important shot for Super Ted.
Ted, you require 110.
110 to level up. He's going to get a dart. A double 16.
Game
superb, because he's been under a barrage of pressure at points tonight, but he has found a key shot at a key time to level proceedings up.
First. Game on.
You're just looking for a spark at times as well. Just to kickstart your campaign, kickstart your night. That could be it for Ted Evetts. I feel like Andreas Harrison will move away. He does. That flatline angle of the dart, just blocking things up, and that gives Ted Evetts an opportunity here, a free passage to attack the Andreas Harrison throw.
32.
No surprise to see Ted have a switch in mind, have a plan B already. As we mentioned in his previous game, does come from an area where traditionally it's all double start, double finish in the local leagues. See it again, Henry. Heavy deflection from the moulded systems.
108.
There's Andreas Harrison. He's pretty much been accustomed to the same setup really throughout the course of the time we've seen him here, and it works tremendously. But the thing is that there's a lot of changes, isn't there? It's not just like there's one big change in terms of stem point, which in itself is a big change, but also the longer point. So there's a lot of elements that have completely changed from the last time that we saw him here. And that was only a few weeks ago.
140.
Pure speculation, but I would assume the longer points have gone in because maybe he's noticed the deflection, so wants the point to be the barrel to be further away from the board. However,
100. Andreas, you require 141.
Well, usually players go for that longer point because they want to see more of the target area, and it helps with the power score. That's at least been 95. The MO of Conan Whitehead in recent times. And that's the advantage of having the longer point, because when that first dart goes in, you're begging for a max.
140.
And that may have taken a little bit of ricochet, that and all.
46.
Double 18, he would have been happy either way, really, on that wire.
Third leg,
and he pins it to the top corner, and Harrison opens up a 2-1 lead.
Fourth leg, it's Ted to throw first. Game
Never
on.
played at the World Grand Prix during his PDC career, Ted Evetts.
Until now, so far, because like I say, I do think
79.
Ted's going to have another crack at the Pro Tour at some point in the near future. Still a very, very young player. So by that in mind, we could actually say he's a very
100.
experienced young player.
$58.
And I just wonder as well, the fact that his good pal, Bradley Brooks, is also on tour, whether that might just give him that
140.
inspiration to get back to the top table, because you've seen your good mate get there and you don't really want to be stranded behind. You don't want to be the person in that friendship group which is just being left behind a little
60.
bit.
He'll feel like that, though. That'll be how he'll feel a lot of his life is right now. He dominated the development tour. He sees what Luke Humphries is doing now, the world #1. He was beneath Ted in those
44.
days, as was Dimitri Vandenberg, who we've seen go on to pick up the UK Open, the World Match Play. Ted will see all this unfolding before him and feel he's letting it pass, but plenty of time.
134.
Really good documentary, wasn't they, regarding Ted and sort of the moment when he lost to Fallon Sherrick and how he sort of said that set him back a little bit due to
100.
the reaction he got off at that moment.
170.
There'll be a good reaction here. Should he be able to take the 170 to take us the distance? Oh, that's inviting.
But unable to follow it.
100.
And so for the
Andreas
117 to the 117,
117.
and this match-winning opportunity for Andreas Harrison. He's already had the 107 tonight, but he's
77.
picked the wire at tops.
Ted requires 70.
He's had a second ton plus to the collection, had a second win to the collection. From second wins, Evetts is over for a second wind.
$54. Andreas, you require
To be.
40.
So Harrison to claim his first victory.
Game shot
Finds
and the
double
match.
top, and he
Andreas
gets
Harrison.
a 3-1 victory against Ted Evetts. A really good performance that from Andreas Harrison. Average of just under 95. Doubling in and doubling out, where they're all fairly proficient. That the stats, that the tail of the tape from a 3-1 victory for the Swedes. Coming up after the break on the other side of a studio chat, it's Steve West and Ross Montgomery. Welcome back to the Modus Super Season. For the break, Andreas Harrison got the better of Ted Evetts by 3 legs to 1. We're at the halfway point of the night session. A night session which has already seen Robert Thornton break the all-time double start record, with Montgomery threatening the 9-darter. And this is how the table looks at the halfway point of the evening's proceedings. Montgomery at the top, winning both of his games. Harrison, West and Thornton with a win apiece, whilst Ted Evetts, well, he is stranded at the bottom of the table without a win to his name. Now, Matthew Edgar is alongside me here in the studio for some half-time analysis, and there's only one place to start, and that's right at the very beginning of the evening. Robert Thornton making history, 108 average, the highest ever in double start history.
He loves this format, doesn't he, Robert Thornton? He's made his name in this sort of format. He's the defending champion in this format. And he's shown why there. He went up against Steve West, someone he knows quite well, someone he would want to set a bit of a marker out, and what better marker than that? 108, and that's with 4 missed darts at a checkout as well. It's not like it was a perfect finishing percentage, and he'd have missed on the way in. So, I mean, it always felt like something like that was brewing this week. We gave it the sell at the start of the week, said there's not going to be too many 100-plus averages this week. I think we've had more this week than we do in a standard week.
Ross Montgomery with a 9-dart attempt, but he's won both of his matches so far. We thought that the confidence of the World Seniors Championship win would serve him well here, and he looks like a different man, if the truth be told.
Do you know what? When we look at the performances of Ross Montgomery, I think he'll be the first to say that they've not quite been his best, but they haven't had to be. And I think what's interesting about Ross Montgomery, actually, is people are missing against him. And you do get this sometimes. We spoke with Ross, and, you know, we said that when you get a title like he's got now, sometimes you get a bit of aura. And I do wonder how much of what we're seeing tonight, he's just got that little bit of aura about him at the moment, because people are missing, he's taking those chances. He will feel like he can't lose right now, because when he plays well, he wins. And when he doesn't play well, he still wins. And that's going to give him such an underlying confidence that's going to make him dangerous for this title.
Steve West, 1 win, 1 defeat. Not really so much you can make out of the game against Robert. And actually, to his credit, he did manage to pick a leg off. But in terms of the way he played against Ted Evetts, it just felt like when Ted was missing, he was picking apart the opportunities.
He stepped it up, didn't he, Steve West? It was a slow start in leg 1, and then you start to worry, because we heard from Steve West at the start of the show, and he said he's not the Steve West that you'll know or the viewers will know. He's not quite recovered as quickly as he thought he would from the surgery he was waiting for so long for. And when you look at when he's saying that, you think you've got to start well. If you don't start well, you're going to struggle. And you know, he'll dismiss that game with Robert Thornton. That, for me, was the first game, and it went well. So it bodes well for Steve West and the rest of this group.
9 of the 12 players that I'm involved this evening are eligible to play on the World Seniors Darts Tour, though I'm sure 1 or 2 do not want to be reminded of that. These are the players that are eligible to play. Now, we've seen Thornton, Montgomery and Gates, of course, have played in success there. Steve Beaton made the semi-finals at the Circus Tavern. Mark Dubridge, well, he had a better display at the Circus Tavern this time round. Simon Whitlock played there. Neil Duff, I think, has admitted that he felt like he should have done more there in the past, whilst Harrison and West are yet to play in a senior TV major tournament. In terms of the seniors tour, I think there was a perception of, is this going to be a glorified exhibition tour when it first started off? But I think it became very apparent very quickly that it wasn't going to be that case. Yes, we get the chance to see the stars of yesteryear, but this is a tournament and a tour which is played in a serious nature, and these are tournaments and victories now. You look at what it meant to John Henderson winning the Seniors Championship last year. We heard from Ross Montgomery earlier about his successes at the Seniors. This is for players, yes, they're later in years, but these are titles of big, big, big proportions.
I think when we look at what the Seniors is and what the Seniors was, I think for certainly the first couple of inceptions, it struggled for its identity. You mentioned there, what was it? Was it a glorified exhibition for the players of yesteryear? We saw those. We had that year. We got to see the likes of John Lowe, Bob Anderson battling it out at the Circus Tavern once again for that amazing trophy. Robert Thornton ended up winning it back to back, and it was because he was the most relevant, the most recent, the person who was out there still playing quite active darts, and that's what the Seniors was. It was sort of like, inactive players playing active players. And then it went, right, well, we need to now look at how to do this. So using the tour and using the system, we got to see more people come through. And that's where you see the likes, Derek Colson, Richie Howson, people that you wouldn't really have given that name value to until the seniors came around. And now I think it's found its identity and its place, which is what we saw at this year's World Championship, a very highly competitive tournament. We saw players dropping off the tour. Simon Whitlock, Mervyn King, Steve Beaton coming off the tour, not really making too much of an impact there, where in the past maybe you'd look at it and gone, well, if they go there, they'll win it. And if they go there, they'll win it. And now it's a very competitive field where we was looking at it beforehand. We could have picked 7, 8 potential winners and then some real danger men.
And so what do you look ahead to in terms of the rest of the year? We know there's going to be 2 more majors. You've got the match play taking place in June, the Masters taking place later on in the year as well, I believe in August. We've seen in the past years where players have dominated. Leonard Gates had a dominant year, Thornton had a dominant year, Henderson had a dominant year. But does it this time round look as if, because you've got Beaton, you've got Whitlock, you've got Mervyn King, players that have dropped off tour to a very high calibre, Ross Montgomery playing very well, and then, as you mentioned, the players that have been playing the tour circuit that are really getting themselves up to speed. Do you think this year we'll see a bit more of a cosmopolitan feel in terms of the players are going to pick up the big jackpots in those events?
Graham Usher just dropped off tour as well. Vincent van der Voort yet to play there, dropped off tour. And I can sit here and constantly name names. And the fact the age limit's dropped from 50 to 45 opens up another window and another category of player that could potentially play on the seniors tour. Which, to answer your question, no, I don't think we see it like we've had. The reason we had Robert Thornton dominate for a period of time is because he was relevant. The reason we had Leonard Gates dominate for a period of time is because he was relevant. And by relevant, I mean there was fresh, there was playing on the tours, there was qualifying for the PDC big events, there was playing on the Pro Tour in Robert Thornton's case when he won the seniors. And they were still playing at a highly competitive level. Now, there's a lot of people that are doing that. And because of that, I don't see anyone dominating. If they do, they're going to have earned it.
Well, that is the World Seniors. Now, next week, the Super Series gets underway. Week 7 will be our centre of attention, and some of those stars will be in action. Now, Neil Duff, we knew, was going to be playing the 2-week stint in Group A. In fact, we're kind of going from one end to the other, because you've got 2 players that done well at the World Seniors, but probably the name that everybody will jump to is probably the bottom one in Group C, which is Charlie Manby, who a couple of weeks ago broke the all-time record in terms of the record on the development tour.
Yeah, well, it's a record-breaking average year, isn't it? By the looks, 130, I believe it was, for Charlie Manby, which there's going to be a lot of eyes on him because of that. He also went to the UK Open recently as well, so he's going to get a little bit of experience in this sort of environment, this sort of mini stage set. So, yeah, I'll be interested to see how he gets on here at the Super Series, and I think there'll be a lot of people having a look at him there.
Group B looks interesting. Coulson made the semis at the Circus Tavern. We know Conan Whitehead's record as well. That could be a really, really interesting affair.
Conan and Whitehead will be looking at that and going, I've never really got close to getting my hands on that Super Series crown again. There's his chance. There's the opportunity this week. Because when you look in that week and you go, right, who in there is going to potentially take me out? Out of the 12 players, I think I can maybe pick 2. So that is the opportunity. If Conan's going to get another series, he's going to get into another Champions Week, it's going to be next week.
That's going to get underway on Monday morning, a 9:30 start here, exclusively live on Pluto TV. Right, let's get into the second half of tonight's action now. Time for the talking to stop and time for the action to resume. And all the roads are leading to Saturday night's final here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. If you want to be here for it, well, have a look at this. Well, let's get into the second half of the action, shall we? And it's Steve West up against Ross Montgomery. Now, for Steve West, who is practicing ahead of his third match of the night, he's had a contrast of fortunes. He lost his first game against Robert Thornton by 3 legs to 1 before winning his second match against Ted Evetts by the same margin. He's hoping to be simply the best when it comes to the end of the week, but it is Ross Montgomery that leads the way with 4 points to his name going into the second half of the night. And what do you expect, Matt, to see from Steve over the course of the evening?
I think he's just going to continue to improve, and I think he's going to lay this down here to Ross Montgomery, top of the table, who's won both of his games so far. As I said in the studio, I do think Ross Montgomery hasn't quite played his absolute best at the moment, and I think we're going to see an opportunity here for Steve West to try and close that gap.
Well, that's the tournament bracket. Leonard Gates won Group A yesterday afternoon. Just about yesterday afternoon. We'd not passed the midnight hour just yet. Group C. Now, that's actually in table order, the right-hand side of that particular bracket. Neil Duff leads away from Steve Beaton. That action will be back live tomorrow from 1 o'clock. We're just waiting for both players to make it to the stage. And as you can see, Ross Montgomery completing his final practice dart ahead of his game against Steve West, who has been on the stage now for the best part of 3 or 4 minutes. And Ross Montgomery, well, I don't know. I don't know if it's... I think it's a game of charades, isn't it? Right, 2 words, it's a film.
See, I was thinking there what we could do is we could edit in, like, you know, the big box, little box, bit of techno.
Definitely something that was played at Vodka Revolution back in 1996. Not that I know, I wasn't born then, but but that's what my that's what my parents told me anyway.
Steve to throw first. Game on.
It's an unusual bedtime story. When did they read that? Last week.
100.
Little bit too old for Little Red Riding Hood now. Well, it don't matter what double it is, as long as you get in.
62. $140.
Looking more fluent as well at the moment, Steve West. Just looked a little bit hesitant, shall we say, in the opening. I mean, probably because he was getting absolutely walloped by 108 average at the time.
100.
I think everyone would be a bit hesitant under those scenarios, but just seems a little bit more free now, a little bit more loose in the shoulders.
60.
Ross Montgomery, if he wins this game, then he'll feel like he's kind of broken the back of
99.
proceedings this evening. West has got 6 darts here from 201 to take out the opening leg.
100.
Steve, as he usually does, surveys the surroundings as he walks past.
Steve, you require 101.
He's not going to watch himself go 1-0 in front. He's had a couple of ton plus checkouts tonight. The ton of the 119. And he's left himself tops to take out the opener
100. Steve, you require
Target he
40.
absolutely loves as well, this, isn't it, Steve West?
Game shot on the first leg. Steve West.
It was one of those darts, wasn't it? The second dart there, right on the wire. It was friend or foe.
Second leg. It's Ross to throw
Did have to
first.
move across to the left to
Game
open
on.
up the target, open up the bed, and found it. But a good steady line of consistency across the day here for Ross Montgomery, isn't it? It's as if to say, this is my game. This is how I play. This is the level I'm going to play all night. Which side of the line you go in? Are you going to outperform me or are you going to underperform it? But there doesn't seem to be too much wavering in ultimately the consistency of Ross Montgomery.
And this is probably the format more than any other which airs on that side, doesn't it?
40.
If you're constantly getting in first visit, you're constantly scoring okay, you're probably going to give yourself more opportunities, particularly if you're playing a player that's in and out in terms of getting off in legs. And so perhaps no surprise that this was a tournament, the World Grand Prix anyway, was a tournament which James Wade had real success in over the course of his career.
$66.
World Grand Prix winner on 2 occasions. In 2007 and 2010.
140. $86. Steve, you require 141.
So West 6 darts here from 141 to double up his lead. He's unable to find treble 19 with dart number 2.
93.
But he does have time on his side, averaging here 95.5. Really upping the standard. We saw a big performance from Andreas Harrison in Game 5.
82.
Averaging just under
Steve, you
95
require
himself
48.
in a 3-1 success against Ted Evetts. And it looks like Steve West here is running red hot. That's a 14 darter. 93.94 the average to move into a 2-0 lead. 32 darts.
Third leg is Steve to throw
to move
first.
himself on the hill. And he has the darts
Game
to round off a comprehensive success.
No score.
Ken in first dart of a visit.
120. $60. $140. $81. $60. $100.
Well, Montgomery 6 here from 181 to produce the gap back down in half.
131.
And that 1v1 leaves himself on 50 after just a dozen darts in this leg. West
100.
unable
Roger
to
require
apply
50.
surmountable enough scoring pressure. Yes, he's let himself on a finish, but it's a big one in terms of the 160. But Montgomery's going to have to spurn a dart here. He should have had 2 at tops. But it's only going to be one. Well, it's not even going to be that. He's made a bit of a mess of that. And so West
34.
will come back
Steve, you require 106.
for the 160. Now, this would be some way to win it. And he's got a great guide for a second to nestle alongside. He tried to follow it, but it was just too low.
120.
And the irony is he finds the tops of the last dart.
16. Game shot on the third leg, Ross Montgomery.
Montgomery pins the double 8 without too many issues.
Fourth leg, it's Ross to throw
Whoa.
first.
Easy,
Game on.
Steve. How was that trip?
We had a few things fall down the sort of smoke holes
score.
there, haven't we? But never a person.
Nearly fell down the trapdoor there, did Steve West. He's kicked off this leg perfectly.
160.
Imagine if he falls down a step and then eventually goes on to hit a 9 darter in the same leg.
He has had some 9 darters in this building, hasn't he? Remember the one where he said,
9.
what was it, if I hit a 180, I'll go and hit a 9 darter. I mean, he's just had a 9. Not quite the one he wanted, though.
Yes, that infamous game
24.
where he shouted up to me on the old balcony, which was all-encompassing. Everything you could hear and was exposed. He goes to me. He says, I fancy a 9 darter. And I suppose I kind of threw him under a little bit of a bus when I said, can I say it on air? And he said yes. I said it. He promised it. He delivered it.
99.
That was against a man who's now on tour in Jeffrey DeGraff.
99.
I know he was gutted that he was unable to make that particular Champions Week, Steve West, because that was at the point of the operation.
80.
And that is the next thing for him. He's won so many weeks. He's made a couple of semi-finals in Champions Weeks. But he knows the next step now is to win the big one, to lift the big jackpot. But he's not going to get a big out to hit the jackpot in this game.
86. Roster require 138.
To take us all the way, Steve West shakes his head. He half expected that to go.
118. Stevie requires 64.
Here's his chance to get the win.
Game shot and the
Steve
match.
West.
Steve West.
Doubles up his tally of wins for the night. 4 points for him, and he's in a very, very good suit and inflicts the first defeat of the evening upon Ross Montgomery. Good contest that, decent battle. Steve West winning by 3 legs to 1. And coming up next, Robert Thornton up against Andreas Harrison. Are you ready to lift that trophy, Darius?
Yes.
Let's do it then.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series 9 champion is Lucky D, Darius Labanowski!
Well, what a wonderful night of darts we have seen, and we are ready. Our champion is ready, and it's trophy. So we see the trophy. £25,000. The new Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And one more time, the 8th Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And the new Modus Super Series champion is Andreas Dirty Harrison. And one more time, the 7th Modus Super Series champion. Give it up for Andreas Dirty Harrison!
The moment we've all been waiting for. Would you please show your appreciation for your Series 6 Modus Super Series Series champion, Scott Taylor.
One more time, your new Modus Super Series champion. He is Chucky. He is Jim McEwen.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series champion, retaining his title, the Nuke, Luke Littler! Welcome back to the Modus Super Series. We're about to begin Game 7 of the night, and it sees Andreas Harrison and Robert Thornton go head-to-head. Before the break, Steve West got the better of Ross Montgomery by a 3-1 scoreline. So the table looks like this. Steve West and Ross Montgomery both on 4 points. Andreas Harrison and Robert Thornton both on 2 points. And Ted Evetts without a point to his name going into this 7th fixture of the evening session.
First leg,
These
it's
two
Robert to
met
throw first.
in Group A
Game on.
earlier on this week. And in terms of the personal head-to-head between the pair,
36.
it's Andreas Harrison that leads it by 2-1. He won 3-1 on Monday, did the Swede. In fact, all 3 games went by the 3-1 scoreline. Harrison 3-1 Monday, Thornton 3-1 Tuesday,
40.
and then Harrison winning again by 3-1 on Wednesday. Both players off for the last start of their first visit in this opening leg.
140.
Well, for Robert Thornton, you get the sense, because the first performance was so good and the second one was just off kilter, he's just trying to re-establish normal order if he possibly can.
95.
Nothing about tonight will feel normal for Robert Thornton after when you start so strong like he did. It'll all feel like it's downhill because it's very hard to replicate anything like what he did in
41.
the first match.
Do you believe in peaking too soon? And if so, is that possibly something
97.
Robert has done?
It's not about peaking too soon because he can come out and he can do another big performance. It's more to do with that sort of
100.
everything just feels like a down. Even 100 feels like a downgrade because he just averaged 108. So it's hard to get content with what is good when
115.
you've just seen the near perfect.
Management of expectations. And with that treble, Thornton would expect to have a dart, maybe even at the bullseye to win the leg, but that's providing Harrison doesn't take out the 154, of which he's got tops, of which he gets, and that's the biggest checkout, a double trouble free. Andreas Harrison lighting up the blue touch paper in this game, flicking the switch, finding the fuse, and getting the breaker throw.
If you got any more, I've nearly got
59.
my bingo card on full house there. We've got blue touch paper, flicking the switch, lighting the fuse. We're loads there.
At this juncture, I've got no more.
Most important thing there, though, was the breaker throw. Robert Thornton.
58.
The second that went in, I instantly moved my attention to Robert Thornton to see, and he was disappointed, to say the least.
56.
Probably thinks, here we go again. Why always me?
As I mentioned, there was an expectation that he should at least get a poke from the 84, and it was providing Andreas couldn't do something brilliant, and he duly did something brilliant.
Provided Andreas didn't do something dirty.
58.
Well, it's not the first time that Andreas Harrison has taken out a big checkout win under pressure from his opponent. That's how his
65.
biggest ever victory came about.
And that right there is why you should never assume what someone's going to say. because for some reason I
58.
thought he was going to say, and that's not the first time he's done something dirty.
We are not that type of broadcast, Matt. Moving on. Andreas is moving on.
108.
Getting his first max of the contest.
97.
Well,
Andreas, you
Robert
require
Thornton not
56.
really recovered, has he, from that big haymaker blow?
$46.
We've seen Andreas Harrison try and avoid this target at times, so we know he's not going to want to be hanging out here in the 5-5 region.
100. Andreas,
Harrison's
you
been doing a
require
good job
10.
of assuming control. He took the first leg when perhaps it was against the grain a little bit, and now looking to stamp his authority on throw. But things are getting a bit tricky on 5-5.
Game shot on the second leg. Andreas
But the meltdown
Harrison.
avoided, the meltdown averted. 2-0 to the Swede, one more needed for the match.
Third leg, it's Robert to throw first. Game on. $60.
And as far as the live in-play table goes, picture here for Andreas Harrison will put him top of the pile.
160.
Send the Swede to the summit. Coming up
121.
after this one, Ross Montgomery will end his night against Ted Evetts. Harrison will then take on Steve West before Evetts will finish
49.
off against Thornton. And for Robert, after what was a perfect first performance, the night could turn very sour very quickly if
140.
things don't go to plan and don't go to plan very quickly.
$55.
Well, this leg's going to plan. Time on his side. 140 here would be beautiful. Would leave him on his favourite target, tops.
140.
They feel good. 140 to leave tops. When you're on 220, you hit a maximum. When you're on 212 and you hit a maximum. Just something
41. Robert, you
extra
require
special about
40.
those sort of shots.
Game shot on the third leg.
Much more
Robert
positive
Thornton.
leg, a 14 darter. Thornton has a foothold, but Harrison has the darts to win it here.
Fourth leg, it's Andreas to throw first. Game on.
Surely. There's no way of missing with dart 2 there.
60.
Perfect start for
160.
Thornton. We've been speaking about this being a night littered with 9 darters. Thornton, one of just 3 players to have hit one in the double start
85.
format. And nobody's done it twice. Thornton isn't going to do it twice.
96.
Most important thing for Robert Thornton, though, is he's scrapping and fighting to try and get back into this game, to try and take Andreas Harrison to a deciding leg, but Andreas Harrison just keeps
121.
finding these big moments in this match.
Just when it looks like Thornton's getting close, he's trying his best to keep him at arm's length.
140.
And he's forcing Thornton here into a real bright patch. Beginning to make a spurt is the Scot.
42. Robert, you
And he's
require
going to get 6 here
105.
from 105 to get the break. Remember, he was 2-0 down. But he could level up at 2 apiece.
65.
And he's going to get 3 more goes at tops to do exactly that.
When the finishing lines come into sight here, Andreas Harrison
121.
has
Robert, you
not been
require
able to
40.
step across it.
Game shot on the fourth
Robert
leg.
Thornton,
Robert
what a
Thornton.
leg that was. 13 darter takes us the distance. He's rode
Fifth
the
and
big
final
blows.
leg. It's Robert to throw
Andreas
first.
Harrison hit him
Game on.
hard and hit him early. Robert Thornton showing a lot of character here.
56.
Something that at times we've sort of not assigned to him, have we? He's been Very much a player who sort of got on his own back over recent times. Well,
100.
not here.
Well, he's showing real dogged determination here. His first max of the match, and what a key time to get it. He has forced it upon Andreas here.
For Andreas, this will just feel like it's slipping away. 80 points behind, plus these. And he's using them well.
83.
Just caught the flight on the way through there. But you hear the cry of, oh, Robert. No damage done. Only a maximum would have done anything there for Andreas Harrison.
96.
So 6 darts here from 182 for Thornton to cross the finishing line.
140.
Great 140. On for potential 14 darter on throw in the decider. Harrison has to hit big, and then he has to hope for a mistake.
140.
He's hit big enough.
Robert, you require 42.
For Thornton to claim his second win of the night. It's double 10. It's a 3-2 win for the Fawn.
Robert Thornton.
It was a superb opening, stuttered in the middle, but he's now back on track. A 3-2 win against Andreas Dirty Harrison. The pair exchange a laugh at the end of that one, and what a purple patch. From behind, Thornton found average of 91.5. We're going to take a break. When we return, it's going to be game 8 of our evening session, and it is Ross Montgomery who's going to finish his night's affairs against Ted Evetts, and it's going to be live on the other side of this short break.
a screamer.
Game shot number
What a
4
finish
then.
from Leonard.
Game
But
shot
there is no
and a match.
problems here for Robert
And the double
Thornton.
treble 2 week champion.
17, which he gets. Bullseye for the win. Absolutely incredible.
And it is.
Game shot
And sometimes it's the biggest moments that make
You got to be kidding. Oh, that's cruelty from Neil Duff.
Double Trouble 3 continues our programme of specials weeks here at the Modus Super Series. We'll see Women's Weeks 3, International Pairs and Rising Stars before 2025 is out here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. Game 8 of our session sees Ross Montgomery and Ted Evetts go head-to-head. For Ross, his night comes to a close. As for Ted, well, he's only halfway through proceedings. Hasn't got a win yet to his name. But one thing you'll always get with Ted, regardless of the situation, regardless of the scenario, is that beaming smile on his face. He plays the game with a real free-flowing air and a free-flowing nature. Really is one of the game's good guys. And we don't do bias up here in the commentary box, but Ted Evetts is
First
definitely in our
leg,
good
it's
books
Ross
this
to throw
evening.
first.
If you have just
Game
joined
on.
us, well, Ted, prior to the session getting underway, now the last time he was here, me and Paul Nicholson were in commentary together and we were poking a little bit of fun about the fact that he's been here so many times, but yet we know about his chef capabilities, but hasn't
10.
yet baked anything or made anything for us. And so he's come in tonight with, I've got to say, we've both tried a little bit of his homemade creation, and
No score.
yeah, they're good. He can cook, can't he, Ted?
He brought chocolates, Henry. You can't cook chocolates.
You bake it, you know what I mean. You can tell all my capabilities and culinary skills as a
100.
pot noodle.
Yeah, I think you just exposed that there with that sentence. He cooked chocolates.
You know what I meant. He was
80.
showing off his culinary skills. Less Great British Bake Off, more Great British Fake Off in my case.
100.
Anyway, enough of the midnight snacking. These two will be hoping not to be slacking. And we'll be tracking every single moment, dart for dart, live here on Pluto TV.
140. $55.
When that first dart goes like that, he is such a fierce scorer of maxis, is Ted Evetts.
Yeah, he threw there was a bit more pace. And that was because he was expecting.
108.
I think he expected that too.
Yeah, you could tell he was just nodding along in the background.
101.
Sometimes you just know when your opponent's going to hit something. But this is on. Double 16.
85. Russia
How's it
requires
going? So Montgomery looking at 56 to take out the opening leg. Double top.
$36.
Doesn't put him on top.
Reggie requires
And so Evetts is
16.
going to get 3 more in his hand at double 8 to break the throw. Has to move across to the right-hand side. Maybe a little portion of the top corner to find. He is a tall lad, is Ted.
Game shot on
And
the
he may have
first
used
leg.
that height
Ted
as an
Evetts.
advantage. 1-0.
Second leg, it's Ted to throw first. Game on.
This is Ross Montgomery's last game of the evening. So he's got a couple of options here. He's either going to leave with 4 points or 6 points. I think he leaves with 6 points. He's pretty much through.
100.
Same sort of scenario of what we saw in the afternoon session where the players in those positions are in strong positions. where I think if he is to lose this game to Ted Evetts and he leaves here on 4 points, things could get a little bit tricky because he's still got Ted Evetts, Robert Thornton to go. We've still got Andreas Harris and Steve West to go. Where I think Group C might be done quite early, I think this is a group that's going to go to the wire.
$100. $100. $85. $84.
Expect to see Ted Evetts start down here, especially now Ross Montgomery is going to be down on the finish as well. 4-19s leaves the ball. 6 would leave the Sixers. Needs the treble. Stepped across to try and find it, but didn't accommodate for the extra length.
58. Ross, you require 136.
136 to break back is not on the cards, and so Ted Evetts will come back for 68 to open up a 2-0 lead.
37.
And he'll know better than anybody that a 2-0
68.
lead is a dangerous scoreline in this format, because that was the margin he was in front against Robert Thornton in the final last time out. I'm sure he wants to be reminded of that.
Game shot
But
on
that
the
is the
second
margin
leg.
of which
Ted
he
Evetts.
leads this game.
Third leg.
But this is the joy of Group B.
Game on.
Ted's bottom of the table, 0 points to his name. He plays 2 of the last 3. If he wins them, he's suddenly on 4 points and suddenly back in the equation. Things can compare and contrast very quickly. And Montgomery not getting off first start there, or first visit, should I say, there, has opened up an opportunity for Ted Evetts to really make some inroads against the throw.
61.
Montgomery away, 5th time of asking.
60.
Ted should be the type of player, shouldn't he, this year that should
60.
be expecting to win a week of some sort, shouldn't he?
Yeah, 100%. That would be a good step forward for Ted. Keep him on the right tracks. And a bit of success also on the Challenge Tour would be something I'm sure we'd be looking for as well. He's not had a bad start to the year. Currently sat 17th on the Challenge Tour Order of Merit. Just 1 place outside of where the invites got to in the recent events in Rosmalen.
59.
Sure, we'll be heading over to Hildesheim for the next instalment of Challenge Tour events, where if he can get himself up a little bit higher on the Order of Merit, may start getting a couple of invites.
98.
Did play in 1, didn't he? Because the players that were invited further up weren't able to make it, and then subsequently was able to play the second day. That was in Leicester, wasn't it? For the first
140.
Players' Championships of the season. And for someone of his EV, it's somewhere he probably does feel like he belongs. Montgomery had his tilt at it, got his tour card in 2022, was unable to retain it, came off tour at the beginning of 2024. Evetts looking to set up here, apply pressure on Montgomery 72 to save the contest.
72.
2 darts, a double 12 to keep the game going. Now double 6.
66.
Inside, and so Evetts has an
Energy
opportunity
required,
here
51.
to wrap this game up 3-0. Double top. Down we go for 2 10s. And that's the first win of the night for Ted Evetts. He beats Ross Montgomery by 3 legs to 0. A real controlled display from start to finish. And now he has an opportunity to really turn his night around. Evetts 3, Montgomery 0. Harrison against West after the break. A win here for Steve. He'd be on 6 points overnight. Are you ready to lift that trophy, Darius? Yes. Let's do it then. Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series 9 champion is Lucky D, Darius Labanowski!
Well, what a wonderful night of darts we have seen, and we are ready. Our champion is ready, and it's trophy. So receive the trophy. £25,000. The new Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And one more time, the 8th Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And the new Modus Super Series champion is Andreas Dirty Harrison. And one more time, the 7th Modus Super Series champion. Give it up for Andreas Dirty Harrison.
The moment we've all been waiting for. Would you please show your appreciation for your Series 6 Modus Super Series champion, Scott Taylor?
One more time, your new Modus Super Series champion. He is Chucky. He is Jim McEwen.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series champion, retaining his title, the Nuke, Luke Littler! Welcome back to the Modus Super Series. Steve West and Andreas Harrison about to go head-to-head in game 9 of the night. This is what we've seen from the 8 previous. Before the break, Ted Evetts got the better of Ross Montgomery by 3 legs to 0. As for Robert Thornton, he beat Andreas Harrison 3-2. And then Steve West got the better of Ross Montgomery 3-1 in the match before that. This is how the table looks going into the final couple of games of the evening session. Steve West, top of the table with 4 points to his name. West, Thornton and Montgomery all on that 4-point mark. Harrison and Evetts are both on the board. But Ted also does have that 1 game to go, as to his Andreas Harrison. Actually, we do have this very unique scenario here where we could have all 5 players on 4 points overnight going into Friday's action here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. It's Weston Harrison dueling it out. We have seen it on a couple of occasions where players have finished on 4 points overnight. It's only happened a couple of times in history, and those couple of occasions are very early on in the Super Series format.
Well, Andreas Harrison, favourite to win this group and significant favourite to win this group. And we questioned that at the start of the show.
Andreas to throw first.
Certainly when we looked at the odds and you asked me what I thought, I said it could end up looking a little bit silly. Steve West wins this game. Andreas Harrison might be 6-1 tomorrow, never mind 6-4.
No score.
What have you made of Andreas Harrison's night, Matt?
He's not done much wrong. He's just in a good group.
40.
I think the one where he probably is the last game, wasn't it? Where lost a 2-0 lead. You know, he's only lost games by 3-2. Lowest average he's thrown tonight's an 85. It's been solid. It's been good.
29.
It's just the quality of this group.
Solid hasn't quite been good enough for the Swede.
81.
And I suppose the Swede will be hoping, give me a bit of brilliance after midnight. If you're hoping to step into the darkness with 4 points on the board.
60. $108.
Max there for Andreas.
He
Leads himself on 152. What can West make by way of response?
100. Andreas, you require 152. $58. $81. Andreas, you require 94.
So 94 here for Harrison. He's going to get 2 darts in his hand, a double top, and now down for double 10. Doesn't go, and well, this would be spectacular if West could take out the 139. Triple 14 leads himself double top. Oh, that's wonderful!
First leg.
Simply brilliant from Steve West. The 139 goes, acknowledged by his opponent Andreas Harrison, who was sat on double 10 to punish if it didn't.
Kind of what Andreas Harrison did in the last game, wasn't it? Opponent sat on a double, ready to hold the darts. Andreas Harrison stepped up, popped in 154 finish. Same sort of combination, a couple of trebles for the double.
80.
West getting stronger and stronger as this night goes on. This is exactly the sort of darts they'd have been wanting to play. And this is what I was saying. Sometimes you go into a building, an arena, a venue, where you've had positive vibes, positive successes, and you come in and it just
94.
all comes back to you so quickly.
$91. $140.
But Andreas Harrison again played decent darts, but finds himself behind. But he may just get a little bit of wiggle room in this leg, because West have had a trouble there. Has given this supersonic Swede 6 darts to level up.
81.
So many times tonight, Andreas Harrison, last dart in hand, finds a big treble.
$40. Andreas, you require 106. $41. Steve, you require 150. 100. Andreas, you require
Decent bit of that from
65.
Steve. Harrison looking at 65 to level proceedings up. And he's going to get one dart at double top.
Game
Well, he
shot,
needs
second
one dart
leg,
at double
Andreas
top
Harrison.
to square this match up at one apiece.
Third leg, it's Andreas to throw first. Game on.
Good battle this, isn't it, between the pair?
Pair of players that know what it means as well. Andreas Harrison wanted to keep pace with the players at the top, and
6.
Steve West wants to be at the top. It's very rare, isn't it, someone gets 6 points on day one and then doesn't take one of the top 3 positions, especially in a
No
group
score.
like this where it's going to be quite fiercely contested in regards to the wins, which I'm going to ask you the question I've been asking you all week then, Henry. What is the cut-off for
140.
qualification here? We both overestimated Group A. You went 22, I went 20. He was 18. For Group C, I've stated 12's enough. You've gone for 14.
160.
I think 8 points, good legs difference. You'll be okay. You never know. There's a
81.
possibility that all the players could be on 8 points.
I think someone's going to get through on 6.
Ooh, okay.
100.
I think it's going to be low because the points are going to be spread.
83. $140. Andreas, you require 137.
Harrison is unable to
57.
get the
Steve, you require
137. West looking for
101.
what would be a 4-ton top of the night if he can get the 101. He's not going to get a poke at that. Harrison may only get a poke at top to the back of this.
85. Andreas, you require 80.
If he gets this, he moves 2-1 to the good, and we may well be on the cusp of that historic 5-way tie. And he only
Game
needs
shot
one
on
to
the
finish
third
up on
leg, Andreas
tops.
Harrison.
And he gets his nose in front again.
Fourth leg, it's Steve to throw first. Game on.
It would be incredible, wouldn't it, if all 5 players finished the night
No
on 4
score.
points.
It's very possible. Ted Evetts would have the darts as well against Robert Thornton in the last game. And it's on at the moment. Andreas Harrison. A chance here to get in. Gets in
36.
last start. That serves it up now to Steve West. This has to go. Has to get in.
It's just going awry
No score.
at the worst possible point. He's been fairly good all night long, hasn't he, Steve West, in terms of getting in. He hasn't had to go beyond 2 visits to get in at any stage of the evening, but he saved his worst leg in
58.
terms of starting off for the leg that perhaps was most costly. But the one thing he does have in his favour is the fact that Andreas may have
80.
got away quicker, but he wasn't able to score proficiently enough to stretch the leg away from Steve West.
78. $100.
Back in it again, but when you look at the score line at the moment, Andreas Harrison still wrestled that advantage a throw away from Steve West.
140.
This time makes it pay. Vital couple of exchanges coming in here now for Steve West.
100.
Just jabbing away. But can Harrison land the knockout punch here? What he'd give for another.
100.
He's on a 2-darter. West needs 2 trebles to do the same. He's got 2.
140.
And that's all he's going to have to
Andreas, you
settle
require
for.
89.
And he just hopes that Harrison doesn't get it a go here. Doesn't. But it's double 5.
79.
Bends the wire. West is going to
Steve,
get
you
one last
require
chance to
81.
salvage this contest, to take us all the way. And he's going to get the booty bonus to double 13.
55.
Unlucky for him.
Andreas, you require
Could
10.
be curtains for him. Because Harrison looking at 2
Game
5s.
shot and the match. Andreas Harrison.
And with that hit, seals a 3-1 success. And it means that if Ted Evetts can beat Robert Thornton after the break, all 5 players in this Group B table will be tied on points. Come and join us shortly.
$54. Charlie McGuire, 164. $44. $32. Charlie McGuire, 120.
Well, 120. He's got a fair, at least 2 handfuls at this. Just needs to stay
60.
there. That's a good shot. Halves his score. Leaves himself on a 2-darter.
$26. Charlie
Time on his
McGuire,
side
60.
to become back-to-back singles champion.
$40.
Definitely a couple of nerves in those last 2 darts. But he'll be coming back.
The moment he's been in before this situation. Standing at the back of the stage,
Charlie
approaching the
McGuire,
Oki with a
20.
chance to win the title.
He did this to win the first title, if you remember.
11.
I think he's gone.
Georgia
I think he's
McGuire,
gone to
118.
bust it, maybe. The first title he won, he wanted 20. He went 6-7-7 to win it. He had a chance to replicate it again.
Yeah, I get the feeling that was for a bust. And
39.
on that situation there, George Scaife wasn't even able to take it out going to the 18s on that switch.
Yeah, I think he just panicked a bit, but he's done well to get that big one.
Sometimes can be the hardest part.
Georgia McGuire,
This is it.
79.
It's got to be 19s. It's got to be 19s for this shot. Big 20 and a double. He's got the first one. He's going to get a match dart here.
$59. Charlie
Threw the entire
McGuire,
body into that
8.
one. Just didn't want to let go of the dart.
No score.
He's given George a chance.
Georgia McGuire, 20.
I think George has been quite good on double 10 today.
So many opportunities for Charlie Murphy. Couldn't get the job done.
The match! And the Red Dragon
George
Modus
Scaife.
Super Series Influencers Champion, George Scaife!
Last dart in hand again.
Game shot on the second leg. Ted Evetts.
The game's that needs to be finished here by Robert.
Game
Finds it
shot on the
on the
third
double
leg. Robert
5.
Thornton.
Ted should get a match dart.
85.
Hope Robert Thornton can't find his favourite
Game
tops.
shot on the fourth leg.
And we're level.
Robert Thornton.
Ted needs a treble. He needs to find some red.
100. Game shot.
But there is no
and a match.
problems here for Robert
And the
Thornton.
double treble 2 week champion. It's the Thorn, Robert Thornton.
These two met in the last final of the double trouble competition, and they go head-to-head here in the final game of the night. Evetts with a win here would ensure that all 5 players would be tied on 4 points in the group. Robert Thornton, well, he's got an opportunity to really stretch a lead in the group if he can win this particular contest, because if he can get a win in this one, he'd be on 6 points overnight. He'd have a 2-point gap from everybody else bar Ted, of which the gap would be 4. And there's a possibility, actually, that for Ted Evetts, if he was to win his next 2 games, he could go from bottom of the table to the top of the table. That is how strange things can be here.
First. Game on.
Well, we began at 1 o'clock this afternoon, Matt, bringing you Keegan Brown against Neil Duff. And now, 13 hours later, we come to a close with Evetts against Thornton.
End with a bang, won't we? It's going to be a quality way to wrap off what's been
no score.
A great day of darts across the planet.
And for Ted Evetts, he'll feel like he's really salvaged what could have been a desperate situation for him, losing his first 2. He would have seen himself adrift in the table. The powers of recovery could be very strong in Ted if he can turn his fortunes of Thursday night around. And he's seeing his opponent miss a lot of darts to kick off the leg, and Evetts is in no mood to mess about.
140.
Thornton avoids the brush. We nearly saw that in that game, didn't we, between Brown and Duff?
65. $145.
Right, Evetts leaving double 18 to take out the opening leg of the match.
42. Ted, you require 36.
After 12. Strong finale here from Ted. This is the quality I thought we was going to see from him this evening. He's saving the best till last. Well, certainly not on the doubles. Choices here.
28.
I like that play. A lot of the time people will bust the score and go back to the 36, but you then you've got the same pattern, the same problem. Doesn't have to worry about that no more. The 9 is gone.
81.
And because he's so far in front, if he wants to do it again because he goes inside in a couple, he can do that again, and there's not going to be an issue. No issues at all. Evetts 1 up. And I'll tell you one thing as well about Ted Evetts is he's never one of those players you look at and you think on the back of a long day, he could tire a bit, he could fatigue a little bit. He's already somebody that you look at in terms of the way they prepare, the way they go about their business. They just do all the small things right.
Is that what potentially seeing maybe a little bit here from Robert Thornton? Just a little bit of fatigue kicking in.
$100.
Ted outside of here is actually quite a king golfer. And when he was here a few weeks ago for the Modus Super Series in the main phase, him and Reece Colley were down the driving range most days, hitting a few balls.
51.
Very, very handy golfer as well is Ted Evetts, by the way. That could be a series, couldn't it? Paul Nicholson on the green. He takes darts players out for a round of golf. Just take him, take him to the local golf course, hit a few balls, have a bit of a chat. I know, I'm thinking out loud again.
100. $60. $140. $121.
Well, this for 2-0. And this to put us 2/3 of the way towards the unlikely scenario. All 5 players are pitted on 4 points.
57. Robert, you require 120.
Unable to get the radars just a little bit gone here for
Ted, you require
Robert,
73.
and so Evetts will come back for 73 to double his lead.
Game shot on the second
And to be
leg.
fair to
Ted
Ted,
Evetts.
he's just doing a professional job. He knows his opponent isn't quite on it, but he's taking full advantage. Averaging
Third
himself
leg,
just
it's
under
Ted to
86.
throw
It's been a
first.
decent display.
Game on.
But 2-0 up, and now on the cusp.
32.
And remember, do you remember the final? This was the score, wasn't it? Evetts 2, Thornton 0. And Thornton, remember, would go on to win 3-2 to claim his first weekly title here.
60.
Evetts will be hoping that that particular bit of lightning doesn't strike twice.
47. $131.
Which actually is 1 in 9 million, the odds of lightning striking twice.
$98. $100.
But for Ted Evetts, he's hoping that the
135.
lightning has only struck once in that particular regard. Which in itself is 1 in 15,300.
42.
Oh, a slip there for Robert Thornton. Doesn't leave him a finish. Now Ted Evetts knows he's got 6 starts to get the job done for a 3-0 win. And to give us that rare scenario
100.
that I suppose we all thought could happen. We said it was tight. We said it was close. Ted Evetts is 89 points away from all players ending on 4 points.
85. Ted, you
Well, there was going to be a
89.
week that it was going to happen. It was probably going to be this week, wasn't it? Ted Evetts 89 points away from completing a 3-0 win. Double 5. Inside.
84.
Thornton comes back.
Robert, you require 83.
It's the bull.
58.
It's not there.
Ted, you
And so
require
Ted
5.
comes back to wrap up a 3-0 win. 4 points away from everybody being on 4 points.
Game shot
Absolutely
and the
incredible.
match, Ted Evetts.
What a strange night we've seen here at the Super Series. All 5 players going into day 2 will be tied on 4 points in the league table. You can't split any of them. And Ted Evetts, having lost his first 2, has won his last 2. And he's beaten Robert Thornton by 3-0 to round off the night's action. We are going to take a very, very short break. And when we return from said break, we'll have analysis, reaction, and interviews live from the Pluto TV studio. Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where the Thursday night's worth of action has come to a close here at Double Trouble 3. And, well, we're none the wiser come the end of it. Ted Evetts beat Robert Thornton by 3-0 in the final match of the session. Well, this is the table, but I don't really know what to really make of it. Really, we don't. It's just going to be a one-day shootout pretty much, isn't it? Tomorrow, all 5 players on 4 points. Ted Evetts won the final match of the session. He joins myself and Matthew Edgar here in the studio. Now, technically you're second, but we could also call you joint top. We could also call you joint bottom of the group. That was a crazy night's worth of darts. What was the atmosphere like in the practice room? Was there a feeling that maybe amongst you that this could all end level?
Well, we've all said that it's very open. Like, we're all very, very good players, and obviously the table shows that with us all being equal, currently on points and stuff. So yeah, it's been pretty chilled out in there, to be honest. So I can imagine tomorrow being maybe slightly different, but hopefully not too different.
In terms of your night, would it be fair to say slightly sluggish start, found your best towards the end?
Yeah, I don't know about best, but picked up for sure. I mean, I'm trialling some different points at the moment, having a little play around and just trying to enjoy it again, really.
Let's talk about that, because we saw you here only 3 weeks ago. Yeah. It wasn't too long ago, and a lot about your setup has changed. Obviously, the flight and stem as well, another change from the last time that we saw you here. What was kind of the thinking behind that?
Well, I've tried the longer points with my normal setup. I've tried the all-in-ones with my normal points and darts, and I thought, go in between, try them both together. So, yeah, just giving them a go, really.
It's interesting, we were saying earlier on this week with Neil Duff that maybe this is possibly for the players the right time to try something, because yes, players want to win it, but you've not got that Champions League consequence with this appearance here.
It's not just that. I think the big fact here is you're not playing patterns. You're not playing routines. And you do. As a player, you play patterns routines. I've mentioned it a few times this week, and I'll continue to do so because it's so relevant in the fact that when you play 5-0-1 straight start, you know, right, I've got to be out in 5 visits, 6 visits. If you go into 7 visits, then you know there's a problem. Where with this, you don't even need to look at your averages, because you can't work out if it's good or not based on the fact you've had the double start, and it could skew the average very much so. And, you know, if you're looking at the board and you've had 8 visits, you go, right, so okay, I missed darts at the start, or there's so many extra factors that let you break the pattern. So you're still playing a competitive game, but without following that normal psychology that you'd play a standard 5-0-1.
And can that change the psyche when you're in game? Because there's a possibility where you could have one leg where you're absolutely fly, or you could have 2 legs where you're absolutely fly, maybe a 14-15, and then you have that one leg where nothing seems to go together. Do you have to almost take every leg as it comes a little bit more in this form, and then perhaps maybe in a straight start?
I'd say slightly, yeah, but at the same time, normal starts, it's you have a bad couple of legs or something, you go, right, come on then, let's kick on. It's just how darts is, isn't it? It's whether you have bad games, good games, whatever, you just have to try and go, right, come on, pick it up. So, yeah, just try and get on with it, really.
Have a look at some of your highlight moments. This was a big one, wasn't it? The 110 against Andreas.
Yeah, it was. It's nice when it goes, but it's just that little bit of consistency. Like that first game against Westy, a few darts at 8-8, and I'm thinking, like, they're in there somewhere, surely, but didn't want to go in. And then you have shots like that, which are like, great. It's just, like you say, trying to merge everything back together.
We spoke a few weeks ago when you were here about what the 2025 season is for you, where your plan is, and where darts is for yourself. Do you feel like you are treading along that right path and things are moving in that direction you want it to go in?
Yeah, I'm definitely, like I said, I just wanted to enjoy the game more, because it's now not so much be all or end all like it has been over the previous years. So I think for myself, it's giving me that like flexibility and that freedom to go, do you know what, I'm going to try new stuff, I'm going to do this. And do you know what, I'm not playing terribly. Like I say, when it's going well, it's going really nicely. It's just trying to enjoy it and let it all happen when it happens.
There's a lot of players in Ted's boat at this moment in time where maybe they've been a couple of years off tour and just trying to, I suppose, rediscover that fine touch.
When it becomes a profession and when it becomes something that you're trying to become, or you're playing for financial, and that's the reason you're doing so. You know, you win a pro tour, you don't get a trophy for it, you're playing for money. And that's what you're doing, you're trying to play for your living. It doesn't become as fun anymore. You know, I remember when I was working on a regular basis, I'd get home and the first thing I want to do is get on the dartboard and start playing. And then when you take the work side away and you wake up in the morning and all you go with darts, you think it's the land of luxury, but it's not. You get up and you go, right, I have to practice. I've got to do this. I've got to now cover the loss of the salary by playing better and doing more with the darts. And when it becomes something that you have to do, rather than something you want to do, everything can become a chore, regardless of how much fun it was at the start or how much of a hobby it can be for other people. And that is the hard thing to do, to try and find fun and enjoyment when you're doing something you have to do. It's not always easy.
And it's finding that right balance, isn't it?
Big time, big time. Like Matt said, it's as soon as it is all darts, it's tough. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be people a lot higher up than where we've ever been ranked or anything that will go, it's not that bad, it's not that bad. It's not bad when you're getting 100k a year kind of thing, but when it's, you keep filtering in and out that 64 or lower and stuff, it's obviously, it's tough if you aren't working, it's tough if you are working, it's just trying to find that happy balance and what works for an individual, isn't it? So.
And I suppose particularly now, we've mentioned obviously with Pro Tours being midweeks, and I know we've had discussions elsewhere, that it's finding that equilibrium could be quite difficult.
Yeah, there's some professions that just won't allow it. Imagine being a teacher. You ain't getting time off midweek to go play darts, that's for sure. So a lot of it now is if you're looking and you're thinking, right, I want to be a professional dart player, you've got to start planning from a young age now. You've got to start thinking, right, well, what's my education going to be? And then is my education something that can work around my long-term goal? So you need short-term and long-term goals now. This is becoming serious, but when you look at the finances now and the opportunities that are at the very top of the game, we look at the announcements that are going to be coming up in the near future, where those riches are going to be coming even further down, and there's going to be some big changes in the world of darts that if you are looking at taking this up as a career, then you've got to look at the whole package now, not just what can I do on the board.
Is that the type of thing that inspires you to get back to the top, knowing that there's so much on offer now?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been the goal, isn't it? Like, you want to be the person up there lifting the titles, and obviously the income all comes with it and makes it not easier, but definitely more enjoyable.
We'll have another quick chat in just a second. Myself and Matt are going to round up everything else that we've seen this evening. Now, where do we begin? Where do we actually begin?
Well, we've got nowhere to separate the two in regards, or the whole group in regards to the points. So what we've got to do is go look at the secondary factor, legs. Now, this ain't a standard week. Now, when we look at best of 7, there's more variables. When we look at best of 5, we're already reducing the variables. And you can see when we look at the table that from top to bottom, they're separated by just 5 legs. It's not like there's much scope. And trying to close that in isn't going to be easy when, you know, you lose 1 leg and the maximum you can close up is 2. So it's tighter than we'll probably ever see it just because of that extra factor.
Is there a chance that all 5 finish on 8 tomorrow? Could that potentially be a thing, or is this just a one-off anomaly to the system?
Well, we've seen that it can happen. It's happened tonight. Who's to say the same won't happen tomorrow? And, you know, when we looked at this and we made the assessments at the start of the night, are we really surprised at how this has ended tonight? Because I think everything we said at the start was, he's got an opportunity, he could, and actually he could. And we ended up just pointing the finger at all of them and saying, they could all win it, really. So no surprise whatsoever in the scenario we are.
Is it almost a case tomorrow of just starting as if it's tonight again, because everyone's on the same number of points? I know there's legs difference that's in play, of course, but does it feel like it's just going to be a one-night group potentially tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I personally think every game you go into is just go and try and win 3-0, go. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of eyes tomorrow on the table, on results. Like, fingers crossed in the back room for one or two players on the stage at a time. And yeah, I think it's just going to be like a bit of tension, a bit of fun, a bit of everything in between. So I think it's going to be an enjoyable one.
Finally, I do have to ask about last time. I know. Sorry to bring it up. How much would you love to go one better this time after the way it ended last time?
Yeah, I mean, one dart missed for the title of the last double week. So yeah, why can't we?
Look forward to seeing that in motion, Ted. Thank you so much for popping up. And thank you as well, by the way, for the sweets. They were very, very nice. Not that we mentioned it at all. Ted, thank you. Matt, thank you. Let's have a look at the tournament bracket then as we head in towards the final part of Double Trouble 3. Leonard Gates won Group A on Wednesday afternoon. Now, actually, both of these brackets in B and C are in table order. So Andreas Harrison leads the way from Ted Evetts and Steve West, although table means absolutely nothing in Group B tonight. Group C, it's a bit more clear-cut. Neil Duff and Steve Beaton, they've got a clear advantage, 10 points, 8 points respectively, and they have a 4-point gap on those behind. Adrian Gray, Simon Whitlock, Keegan Brown and Mark Dubbage, all with work to do tomorrow. So that is how the tournament bracket breaks down here at the live lounging pool. So plenty of live darts coming up for you. After the break, we're going to be seeing the latest of the Phil Taylor Tungsten Talk series, where he'll be discussing Luke Littler. Guess what? He won again tonight. And a couple of 9-darters in amongst there as well. One from Luke Humphreys, one from Rob Cross. So I'm sure the tournament sponsors are going to be very happy with the money they're giving away this evening. We're going to be back tomorrow from 1 o'clock to see how Group C is going to conclude. And then 10 o'clock, you don't really want to miss that, because the drama is going to come to a close in Group B. But as far as tonight is concerned, well, all for one, one for all. We shall see you tomorrow afternoon. Take care. Bye for us.
What a finish! What a man!
The drum roll finishes, and the target is hit.
And that was it. And it comes on finals night, and it's a knockout.
Dirty Harry!